Sample books allow us to touch and compare material swatches and quickly showcase different variations and styles. How have artists used and been inspired by sample books in their own artist books? Let's look at two examples: Exuberant Resilience by Mary Tremonte and Fairmont Color Card by Sarah Bryant. Mary Tremonte is a Pittsburgh-based artist, educator, and DJ. She's a member of the Just Seeds Artists Cooperative and co-organizer of the Queer Ecology Hanky Project with V. Adams. Among her many creative pursuits, Tremonte works with printmaking in the expanded field, which includes printstallation, interactive silkscreen printing in public spaces, and wearable artist multiples, such as Queer Scout badges. Exuberant Resilience is a collection of patterned fabrics that Tremonte designed and screen printed. Each section of the swatch book begins with brief background information about her inspirations for each design. Tremonte developed these first patterns from her years-long exploration of Bruce Bagamill's book, Biological Exuberance, Animal Homosexuality, and Natural Diversity, which presents extensive research showing an exuberant variety of hetero and homosexual behaviors and gender expressions throughout the animal world. Tremonte portrays various bird species in the midst of moves of both hetero and homosexual courtship displays. The fabric swatches display 2, 3, or 4 different colorways for each of the repeat patterns. Tremonte focused on intersecting themes of queer ecology, feminism, individual autonomy, and collective ethos. They often combine words and images, like this pattern of mammal courtship, which she describes as a taxonomy of terminology. I like thinking about these words describing queer animal behavior. Some are specific or suggestive, maybe a little difficult, but some also sound like a lot of fun. Exuberant Resilience was made during Tremonte's residency at Women's Studio Workshop in 2019. While there, she screen printed many bolts of these fabrics, which she would later use to sew clothing, quilts, and banners. She designed each repeat pattern from her own drawings that were scanned and printed out, and also cut from Rubylith. To print the fabric, Tremonte worked closely with the interns at Women's Studio Workshop. The large screens required multiple people working together to print the fabric. Tremonte told me that one of her favorite aspects of silkscreen printing is experimenting with different color combinations and seeing the same patterns in different colorways. For these fabrics, she chose the different color combinations based on what would visually pop and resonate with the subject matter. Possibility is a connecting theme woven into all of Tremonte's fabrics. This pattern, designed on the Transgender Day of Remembrance and Resilience in 2019, features mushrooms alongside the words remembrance, resilience, and resistance. Mushrooms, she explains, resist binaries, as they are neither plant nor animal, but actually exhibit qualities of both, while being something wholly distinct and magical. She writes, "I want to uplift how trans and gender non-conforming people give everyone a more expansive possibility to resist hetero and gender normativity and binaries." Looking through Tremonte's fabric swatches inspires possibilities. We see a number of technical possibilities of different colors and designs on fabric that itself can be used in myriad ways. But more importantly, her patterns inspire us to look toward non-human species and queer resilience for distinct and better modes of communication, subversion, and being. Sarah Bryant is a book artist and educator. Since 2005, she has produced numerous artist books under her imprint, Big Jump Press. Her letterpress printed books typically use analytic imagery and reference materials to address topics related to archives and self-representation. Bryant's book, Fairmont Color Card, is inspired by sample books and color cards, and casts a critical eye toward textiles, color, and fashion in relation to landfill culture. It contains a 3-panel sample card and 7 textile collages. In 2019, Bryant visited the Faber-Buren collection of books on color at Yale University. She explored their extensive archive, which includes historic examples, artist books, and numerous textile swatches and paint chips. She eventually became interested in examining the relationship between materials like these sample cards and excessive waste in the textile industries. For example, color forecasting, the issuing of color cards in advance of a season, is an early form of planned obsolescence. Fairmont Color Cards features a sample card of textiles and colors taken from Bryant's own clothes and domestic space. We find a list of the items these swatches came from on the back of the 3-panel card. Some, like interview shirt or hot weather dress, offer a little more personal connection to the material. Others, like blue tank or sheets, keep the reader at a steady distance. The wound thread in the center strip are colors that Bryant matched to these fabric swatches, as well as other colors in her home, including hair, skin, and walls. Her perspective and criticism are laid out from the start. The collages are made with the same fabrics and threads Bryant organized in the swatch card. However, compared to that more sterile presentation of materials, these carry a lot of tension, especially paired with the evocative texts below. Bryant explains in the colophon that these texts were extracted from 2 sources. First is the 1977-1978 Home Furnishings Color Card, produced by the Color Association of the United States. The second is The Waste Makers, a book written by Vance Packard in 1960, which argues people in the U.S. consume more than they should and are harmed by this consumerism. I read these texts and textiles together. I feel Bryant's rebuke of the planned obsolescence and waste built into the industries that create textiles for our bodies and homes. Bryant started this book before the COVID-19 pandemic. Like most of us, Bryant's relationship to her home, work, and the outside world shifted, and the book, which she continued working on, inevitably shifted as well. The fabric collages are identical in each copy of the edition, except for this one, the significance of these private worlds. Each copy of this card has a different collage. While many of us were enclosed in our own domestic spaces, we were experiencing the pandemic in vastly different ways. Creating unique collages was a way for Bryant to acknowledge those private experiences and what was happening during that period of the pandemic. Fairmont Color Card also employs many specific production methods that were historically used for color cards and sample books, such as foil stamping and die cutting. For Bryant, some of these techniques, like cutting fabric and winding thread, became methods to manage anxiety during the frightening period of the pandemic. It's important to note that Bryant was very cognizant of landfill culture as she made this book. In addition to working with materials sourced from her own domestic space, for example, the book is printed on offcuts from a prior project. Her process is a counteraction to waste. The knot at the back literally ties scraps of Bryant's fabrics together. We can see the frayed edges, and I'm reminded that all of this came from her own real physical objects. Stuff that we have around us, stuff that means something, and stuff that we're responsible for. Stuff that we have to minimize and keep out of landfills. There's a particular satisfaction in flipping through the carefully organized swatches of a sumptuous textile sample book. Exuberant Resilience and Fairmont Color Card both offer that same satisfaction, while using and exploring this format to share their possibilities, hopes, and critiques to lead us to an ever better future.